Park Do-yun was tired. His whole body hurt, and his uniform was covered in blue coolant fluid. He had spent the last 12 hours fixing the life support systems on the lower decks of Horizon's Edge station. All he wanted was a hot shower and his bed. He walked through the quiet corridors of the crew quarters level. Most people were either sleeping or working the night shift. Do-yun liked this time. The station felt peaceful when it was empty. But when he turned the corner toward his room, he stopped. Someone was standing outside his door. She was tall, taller than him by at least a head. Her skin was pale blue-gray like morning fog over the ocean. Her hair was silver and fell straight down her back. Her eyes were large and dark, almost completely black, and they watched him without blinking as he approached. Do-yun knew what she was. A Kurvani. He had seen a few of them on the station before, but never this close. They were known for being smart and serious. They worked in science and research. They did not smile much. "You are Park Do-yun," she said. It was not a question. "Yes," he said. "Can I help you?" "I am Vielle. I am the new xenobiology specialist assigned to this station." She spoke slowly and clearly, like she was reading from a report. "There has been a problem with my housing assignment." Do-yun waited for her to continue. "The station is over capacity because of the diplomatic visit this week," Vielle explained. "My assigned quarters were given to a visiting ambassador. I was told to find alternative arrangements." "Oh," Do-yun said. He felt bad for her. Finding a place to sleep on a crowded station was not easy. "That's unfortunate." "Have you talked to the housing office?" "Yes. They said all available rooms are full. They suggested I ask crew members if anyone has extra space." Vielle looked at him directly. "Your quarters are listed as single occupancy. You have extra space." Do-yun blinked. Was she asking to stay with him? He barely knew her. They had just met 30 seconds ago. He felt awkward. He always felt awkward in situations like this. And when Do-yun felt awkward, he made jokes. It was a bad habit. He knew it was a bad habit, but he did it anyway. "Well," he said with a tired laugh, "I guess you could always share my bed." He expected her to understand it was a joke. He expected her to smile politely and say no thank you. He expected her to walk away and find someone else to bother. Vielle did none of these things. Instead, she nodded once. "That is acceptable. Thank you for your generosity." Before Do-yun could say anything, she picked up the bag at her feet and walked past him. She stood in front of his door and waited. "I do not have the access code," she said. Do-yun's mouth opened and closed. No words came out. His brain was trying to catch up with what had just happened. He had made a joke, a stupid, tired joke, and she had taken it seriously. He should tell her the truth. He should explain that humans say things they don't mean sometimes. He should apologize for the confusion. But she was looking at him with those large, dark eyes, waiting patiently. And Do-yun thought about how it would sound if he said, "Actually, I was joking. I don't really want to help you. Please go away and sleep in the corridor." He couldn't do it. He was too tired and too embarrassed. Do-yun typed in his access code. The door opened. Vielle walked inside. His quarters were small. One room with a bed, a desk, a small bathroom, and a window that looked out at the stars. It was messy. There were clothes on the floor and empty food containers on the desk. He had not expected visitors. "I apologize for the mess," he said. "There is no need to apologize." Vielle set her bag down in the corner and looked around the room. "This is adequate." She began to unpack. She moved with calm efficiency, placing her things in a neat row along one wall. She had very few belongings: some clothes, a few data pads, a small plant in a glass container. Do-yun stood near the door and watched her. This was really happening. There was an alien woman unpacking her things in his room because he had made a stupid joke. "I should explain something," Vielle said without looking at him. Among my people, the Kirvani offering to share sleeping space is a significant gesture. It indicates deep trust and respect. I am honored by your offer. Do-yun felt his stomach drop. Honored, he repeated weakly. Yes, Kirvani do not share sleeping space with strangers. It is reserved for family, close friends, or bonded partners. Your willingness to share with someone you just met shows great openness and generosity. This was bad. This was very bad. He had accidentally made some kind of important cultural gesture. If he told her the truth now, it would be even worse than before. It would be insulting. Do-hyun nodded slowly. Right. Yes, of course. Vial finished unpacking and turned to face him. You are covered in blue fluid. Coolant. From the life support systems. You should clean yourself. I will wait. Do-hyun grabbed clean clothes and went into the bathroom. He closed the door and leaned against it. He looked at himself in the mirror. His face was pale under the blue stains. What did you do? He whispered to his reflection. He took a shower and tried to think of a way out of this situation. He could not find one. Every option ended with him looking like a terrible person. When he came out of the bathroom, Vial was sitting on the edge of his bed, reading something on a datapad. She looked up at him. The bed is large enough for two, she observed. I will stay on the left side. Great, Do-hyun said. That's great. He sat down at his desk and pulled out his communicator. He needed to talk to someone. He needed help. He sent a message to his friend Yoonji. Emergency. Come to my quarters now. Bring advice. Yoonji was the station's doctor. She was also the only person on the station who might find this situation funny instead of terrible. 10 minutes later, his door chimed. Do-hyun opened it. Yoonji stood in the corridor. She looked past him and saw Vial sitting on his bed. Yoonji's eyes went wide. Then she started to laugh. It's not funny, Do-hyun said quietly. It's very funny, Yoonji said. She was laughing so hard she had to hold the wall. What did you do? He pulled her into the corridor and explained everything in a fast whisper. The housing problem, the joke, Vial's serious acceptance, the cultural significance he had accidentally invoked. Yoonji listened. She kept laughing. You have to help me, Do-hyun said. How do I fix this? Yoonji wiped tears from her eyes. You can't fix it. If you tell her the truth now, you'll embarrass her. You'll insult her entire culture. You might cause a diplomatic incident. So what do I do? You see it through. Yoonji patted his shoulder. Congratulations, Do-hyun. You have a roommate now. She walked away, still laughing. Do-hyun stood in the corridor for a long moment. Then he went back inside his quarters. Vial had changed into sleeping clothes. She was already lying on the left side of the bed, exactly as she had said. She watched him with those large, dark eyes. Is everything acceptable? She asked. Do-hyun looked at her. He looked at his bed. He thought about the next few days or weeks, or however long this situation would last. Yes, he said. Everything is fine. He turned off the lights and lay down on the right side of the bed. He stayed as far to the edge as possible without falling off. In the darkness, Vial said, Thank you again, Park Do-hyun. Your kindness will not be forgotten. Do-hyun stared at the ceiling. You're welcome, he said. He lay on the very edge of the bed, his body stiff and tense. He kept his arms pressed close to his sides. He was afraid that if he moved even a little, he might accidentally touch Vale. She was quiet beside him. He could hear her breathing, slow and even. She seemed completely relaxed. She had no trouble sleeping next to a stranger. But Do-hyun was not relaxed. His mind kept spinning with questions. How long would this last? When would the diplomatic visit end? When would her real quarters become available again? He stared at the ceiling and counted the hours until morning. When his alarm finally went off, Do-hyun felt worse than before he went to bed. His eyes were heavy and his head hurt. He sat up slowly and looked around. Vial was already awake. She was sitting at his desk, fully dressed in her science uniform, reading from a datapad. She looked completely rested. "Good morning," she said. "Morning." Do-Yun rubbed his face. "How did you sleep?" "Adequately. Though I noticed you stayed very far from me." She looked at him with her large dark eyes. "Were you uncomfortable?" "No. No. I just wanted to give you space." "That is unnecessary." Vial set down her datapad. "I should explain something about Kirvani sleeping customs." Do-Yun listened. He was starting to realize that Vial explained things often. She liked to share information. "My people do not sleep alone," she said. "We sleep in groups. It is how we have always done it, since ancient times. Sleeping together provides warmth, protection, and comfort. A Kirvani who sleeps alone is either being punished or has been cast out from their community." Do-Yun thought about this. "So when you accepted my offer, I was grateful. Sleeping alone on this station has been difficult for me. I did not realize how much I missed the presence of others until I had to sleep in an empty room." He felt something shift in his chest. He had been thinking about how awkward this situation was for him. He had not thought about how Vial might have been feeling, sleeping alone in a strange place, far from her home and her people. "I'm sorry," he said. "That must have been hard." "It was, but now it is better." She paused. "Unless my presence here is a burden to you. If you wish me to leave, I will understand." Do-Yun should have said yes. This was his chance. He could tell her to find somewhere else, and this whole situation would be over. But he looked at her sitting at his desk, calm and serious and just a little bit hopeful, and he couldn't do it. "No," he said. "You can stay." "Thank you." There was something in her voice that sounded like relief. They went about their day. Do-Hyun worked on the environmental systems in the station's east wing. Vial went to the xenobiology lab to begin her research. They did not see each other until evening. When Do-Hyun returned to his quarters, Vial was already there. She had made tea, not human tea, but something from her own world. It was pale green and smelled like flowers and rain. "I brought this from home," she said. "Would you like to try it?" Do-Hyun accepted the cup. The tea was warm and sweet. It was actually good. "Thank you," he said. They sat together in his small room, Vial in the desk chair, Do-Hyun on the edge of the bed. They drank their tea in silence. It should have been awkward, but somehow it wasn't. "May I ask you something?" Vial said. "Sure." "Why did you offer me your sleeping space? You do not know me. We had never spoken before yesterday." Do-Hyun felt his face get warm. This was the question he had been afraid of. He could not tell her the truth, but he didn't want to lie to her either. "I guess I thought you needed help," he said carefully, "and I had space. It seemed like the right thing to do." Vial nodded slowly. "That is very human." "What do you mean?" "Humans are known for being generous to strangers. Many species find it strange. Among Kirvani, we are careful with our trust. We do not offer closeness to people we do not know." She looked at him. "But humans are different. You give your kindness freely." Do-Hyun didn't know what to say. He had made a joke, a stupid joke, and she thought he was being kind. The guilt sat heavy in his stomach. "Can I ask you something?" he said. "Yes." "Why did you come to this station? It's far from Kirvani space, far from your home." Vial was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was softer than before. "I volunteered for this assignment. My superiors were surprised. Most Kirvani prefer to stay close to our own worlds, among our own people." She paused. "But I have always been different. I have always been curious about other species, other cultures. I want to understand how others think and live. Many Kirvani find this strange about me." "Strange how?" They think I am too interested in outsiders, that I should focus on my own kind. Some have said I do not belong. Do-hyun understood that feeling. He knew what it was like to not fit in where you were supposed to. Is that why you left? He asked. Partly. I thought that if I could not belong among my own people, perhaps I could find belonging somewhere else. She looked at him, and for the first time, he saw something vulnerable in her dark eyes. She was not just calm and serious. She was also lonely. I know how that feels, Do-hyun said. Do you? Yes. I left Earth because I didn't fit there either. My family wanted me to take over our business, run the company, get married, have children, be respectable. But that wasn't what I wanted, so I left. I came out here. He shrugged. Sometimes I feel guilty about it, but I couldn't stay there and pretend to be someone I wasn't. Vael nodded slowly. We are similar then. I guess we are. They sat in comfortable silence. Outside the window, the stars turned slowly as the station rotated. We should sleep, Vael said eventually. You look tired. Do-hyun was tired. He had barely slept the night before. They got ready for bed. Vael lay on the left side, Do-hyun on the right. This time, he didn't go all the way to the edge. He stayed on his side, but he didn't grip the mattress like he was afraid of falling. Do-hyun, Vael said in the darkness. Yes. Thank you for talking with me. I have not spoken to anyone like this since I left home. You're welcome. They lay in silence. Do-hyun felt his body relax. He was still tired, still confused about this situation, but something had changed. Vael wasn't just a stranger he had accidentally invited into his room. She was a person who was lonely and far from home, just like him. He fell asleep faster than he expected. When he woke in the morning, something was different. Vael was closer than before. During the night, she had moved toward the center of the bed. Her shoulder was almost touching his. Do-hyun looked at her. She was still asleep. Her face was peaceful. In sleep, she looked younger, softer. He realized he didn't mind her being close. He lay there for a while, watching the stars outside the window, feeling the warmth of another person beside him. He had been alone on this station for 2 years. He had friends like Eunji, but he went home to an empty room every night. He had gotten used to it. Now there was someone here, someone who drank tea with him in the evenings and talked with him in the dark, someone who also knew what it meant to not belong. Vael's eyes opened. She looked at him. Good morning, she said. Good morning. She noticed how close she had moved. I apologize. Kirvani naturally seek warmth when we sleep. I did not mean to intrude on your space. It's okay, Do-hyun said, and he meant it. It's really okay. Vael studied his face for a moment. Then she nodded. I will make tea, she said. She got up and went to the small heating unit. Do-hyun watched her. He thought about the joke he had made, the accident that had started all this. For the first time, he was not sorry about it. Do-hyun noticed it when he walked into the cafeteria for breakfast. 2 technicians at a nearby table stopped talking when they saw him. They looked at each other and smiled. He ignored it and got his food. But when he sat down, he heard whispers from behind him, words like Kirvani and quarters and already. Do-hyun ate quickly and left. It got worse throughout the day. People he barely knew smiled at him in the corridors. A maintenance worker gave him a thumbs up. One of the cargo handlers actually winked at him. By lunch, Do-hyun was tired of it. He found Yoonji in the medical bay. She was examining a patient, so he waited. When she was done, she came over to him with a big smile on her face. So, she said, how's married life? Don't start. I've heard interesting things today. People are talking. I know. Everyone keeps looking at me like I did something amazing. Yoonji laughed. You kind of did. A Kirvani moving in with a human? That's big news. Some people think you two are in a relationship. We're not in a relationship, she just needed a place to sleep. I know that. You know that. But everyone else thinks the new xenobiology specialist chose to live with you. Do you know how that looks? Do-hyun groaned. This is a disaster. Is it, though? Yoonji leaned against her desk and crossed her arms. How are things going, actually? Is it terrible? Do-hyun thought about the last 2 nights. The tea. The conversations in the dark. Waking up with Vael close beside him. No, he admitted. It's not terrible. Interesting. Yoonji raised an eyebrow. Tell me more. There's nothing to tell. We talk. We sleep. That's it? Do you like her? I barely know her. That's not what I asked. Do-hyun didn't answer. He didn't know how to answer. Vael was calm and serious and literal about everything. She didn't understand jokes. She explained things constantly. She was completely different from anyone he had ever known. But there was something about her. Something he couldn't quite name. I have to go, he said. Sure you do. Yoonji was still smiling. Say hi to your roommate for me. Do-hyun left the medical bay. He thought about going back to work, but he was too distracted. He decided to find Vael instead. He wanted to warn her about the rumors. He found her in the cafeteria. She was sitting alone at a table, eating something from a container she had brought from her quarters. Several crew members were watching her from nearby tables. As Do-hyun approached, he saw a young human woman walk up to Vael. She was one of the communications officers. Do-hyun didn't know her name. Hi, the woman said to Vael. I'm Ji-yeon. I work in communications. Hello? Vael looked up at her politely. So I heard you're living with Do-hyun now, in his quarters. That is correct. That's really interesting. Ji-yeon smiled widely. How did that happen? Did you two know each other before? No. We met the night I moved in. He offered me his sleeping space and I accepted. Ji-yeon's eyes went wide. He just offered? Out of nowhere? Yes. Wow. Ji-yeon looked impressed. That's so romantic. Vael tilted her head. I do not understand. What is romantic about it? Well, you know, a guy just meeting you and immediately offering to share his bed. That's a big move. Is it? Among my people. It indicates trust and respect. Is it different for humans? Ji-yeon laughed. For humans, sharing a bed usually means something else, something more intimate. Vael considered this. I see. That is interesting. But I do not believe that was Do-hyun's intention. He was simply being kind. If you say so. Ji-yeon was clearly not convinced. Well, it's nice to meet you. Good luck with everything. She walked away. Do-hyun came over and sat across from Vael. I heard that, he said. Did you? She was asking about our arrangement. She seemed very interested. Everyone is interested. People are talking about us. Why? Do-hyun sighed. Because humans usually share beds with people they're involved with, romantically. Vael was quiet for a moment. I did not know this. Have I caused problems for you? No, it's fine. I just wanted you to know what people are thinking. Should I explain to them that it is not romantic? That you were simply offering hospitality? Maybe. Or maybe just don't worry about it. The diplomatic visit will end soon, and you'll get your own quarters, and people will forget about it. Vael nodded, but she looked thoughtful. That afternoon, Do-hyun was called to the commander's office. Commander Yoon was a serious man in his mid-40s. He had been running Horizon's Edge for 5 years. He was fair and practical, but he didn't like problems. Park Do-hyun, he said when Do-hyun entered. Sit down. Do-hyun sat. He felt like he was in school again, waiting to be punished. I've heard some interesting reports, Commander Yoon said, about you and our new xenobiology specialist. Sir, I can explain. I'm not accusing you of anything. I just need to understand the situation. The commander leaned forward. Is Vielle living in your quarters? Yes, sir. Why? There was a housing problem. Her quarters were given to someone else. She needed a place to stay. And you offered? Yes. Is this a formal arrangement? Are you two together? Do-hyun felt his face get hot. No, sir. It's just temporary, until her quarters become available. Commander Yoon studied him. You understand that sharing quarters with a member of another species can have cultural implications. The Kirvani take these things seriously. I know, sir. I didn't mean to. The door opened. Vielle walked in. I apologize for the interruption, she said. I heard that Do-hyun was called here. I wanted to speak. Commander Yoon raised an eyebrow. Go ahead. Vielle stood straight and tall. Her voice was calm and clear. Do-hyun offered me shelter when I had none. Among my people, this is a great honor. He showed me trust and generosity. I will not have his reputation questioned because of his kindness. Do-hyun stared at her. He had never heard her speak like this before. She sounded formal, strong, like she was making an official statement. I see, the commander said slowly. And you're satisfied with this arrangement? Yes, completely. And you, Do-hyun? Do-hyun looked at Vielle. She had come here to defend him. She had walked into the commander's office and spoken up for him without being asked. Yes, sir, he said. I'm satisfied. Commander Yoon nodded. Very well. As long as both parties are happy, I have no objection. But please remember that we have crew members from many species on this station. Cultural misunderstandings can cause problems. Be careful. We will, Do-hyun said. They left the office together and walked back toward the crew quarters. You didn't have to do that, Do-hyun said. Do what? Come and defend me. I could have handled it. You offered me kindness, Vielle said simply. I will not let anyone treat you badly for it. Do-hyun didn't know what to say. He had made a joke, a stupid, careless joke, and Vielle thought he had given her a gift. She was defending his honor because of it. The guilt was still there, but now there was something else too, something warmer. Thank you, he said. You are welcome. They walked in silence for a while. Then Do-hyun said, Do you want to watch something tonight? I have some human entertainment programs. I could show you some comedies. Help you understand human humor. Vielle looked at him. I would like that. They might not be very funny to you. That is acceptable. I am interested in learning. That night, they sat together on his bed and watched old comedy shows. Vielle didn't laugh at the jokes. She didn't understand most of them, but she asked questions constantly. Why was that funny? What did that word mean? Why did the audience laugh? Do-hyun tried to explain. It wasn't easy. Humor was hard to explain to someone who took everything literally. But he found he didn't mind. He liked the way Vielle listened carefully to everything he said. He liked the way she tried so hard to understand. When they went to sleep that night, Vielle didn't stay on her side of the bed. She moved closer, seeking warmth, and Do-hyun let her. He was starting to realize something. This situation was not a disaster. This situation was something else entirely. He just wasn't sure what to call it yet. Do-hyun stopped counting the days until Vielle would leave. He stopped thinking about when her quarters would be ready. Somewhere along the way, he had stopped wanting her to go. They had developed routines. In the mornings, Vielle made tea while Do-hyun got ready for work. In the evenings, they ate dinner together, sometimes in the cafeteria, sometimes in their quarters. At night, they talked in the darkness before falling asleep. Do-hyun learned things about Vielle. She liked to study plants from different planets. She was fascinated by how life adapted to different conditions. She could name every species of flower on 12 different worlds, but she had never seen rain. There was no rain on the Kirvani homeworld. Vial learned things about Do-hyun. He came from a coastal city on Earth called Busan. He had two older sisters who were both successful in business. He had disappointed his parents by leaving home. He felt guilty about it, but he also knew he had made the right choice. They learned each other's silences, too. Vial was quiet when she was thinking deeply. Do-hyun was quiet when he was worried about something. They could sit together without talking, and it didn't feel strange. One evening, Do-hyun came back to their quarters and found Vial standing in front of the mirror. She was practicing something. Her face moved through different expressions like she was trying them on. "What are you doing?" he asked. Vial turned to him. "I am practicing facial expressions. I have been studying human communication. Humans use their faces to show emotion. Kirvani do not do this as much. I want to understand it better." Do-hyun smiled. "Show me what you've learned." Vial nodded seriously. Then she pulled her mouth wide and showed her teeth. Do-hyun stared at her. It took him a moment to realize she was trying to smile. "That's terrifying," he said. "Is it wrong?" "It's not wrong exactly, just intense. Humans don't usually show that many teeth." Vial relaxed her face. "I see. I will adjust." She tried again. This time her smile was smaller, softer. It still looked a little strange on her serious face, but it was better. "That's good," Do-hyun said. "What else did you learn?" Vial showed him frowning, surprise, and confusion. They were all slightly off, like someone had described the expressions to her, but she had never seen them. Still, she was trying hard. That mattered more than getting them right. "Why are you learning this?" Do-hyun asked. "Because I want to understand you better. Humans are confusing to me. You say things you do not mean. You hide your feelings. You make jokes when you are uncomfortable. I want to learn to read you so I do not miss important things." Do-hyun felt something warm in his chest. She was trying so hard. For him. "You know," he said, "you could just ask me how I'm feeling. I'll tell you." "Will you?" Humans often say they are fine when they are not. "I'll tell you the truth. I promise." Vial studied him. "Very well. How are you feeling right now?" Do-hyun thought about it. "Happy," he said. "I think I'm happy." Something changed in Vial's face. It wasn't one of the expressions she had practiced. It was something softer, something real. "I am also happy," she said. The next night, Vial tried to make a joke. They were watching another comedy show. A character on the screen had just made a pun about space travel. Do-hyun laughed. Vial did not laugh. She rarely did, but then she said, "I have created a joke." Do-hyun looked at her. "Really? Let me hear it." Vial sat up straight. Her face was completely serious. "Why did the star go to school?" Do-hyun waited. "Because it wanted to be brighter." There was a long pause. The joke didn't really make sense. Stars didn't go to school. Stars were already bright. The logic was completely broken. Do-hyun laughed anyway. He didn't laugh at the joke. He laughed because Vial had tried. She had listened to his explanations about humor, and she had made an attempt. It was terrible, but it was also wonderful. "That's great," he said. "Is it funny?" "Not really, but I like that you tried." Vial nodded thoughtfully. "I will continue to study humor. I will improve." "I'm sure you will." Later that night, they lay in the dark together. Vial was closer than ever. Her shoulder touched his. Her warmth was familiar now, comfortable. "Do-hyun," she said. "Yes?" "I want to tell you something." "Okay." There was a pause. When she spoke, her voice was softer than usual. "I have never felt like this before. On my home world, I was always different. Too curious, too interested in things that did not matter to others. I had colleagues, but not friends. I had family, but they did not understand me. I was alone even when I was surrounded by people." Do-hyun listened. He knew this feeling. "But here," With you. I am not alone. You listen to me. You talk to me. You do not think I am strange for wanting to learn about humans and humor and feelings. You make me feel like I belong. Do-Yun turned his head to look at her. In the dim light, her dark eyes were shining. I feel the same way, he said. Do you? Yes. I came to this station to get away from people who wanted me to be someone else. I thought I would be lonely. I was lonely. But then you showed up outside my door and everything changed. Vielle was quiet for a moment. Then she moved closer. Her head rested against his shoulder. Thank you for letting me stay, she said. Do-Hyun's heart was beating fast. He should tell her. He should tell her that it started as a joke, that he never meant it seriously. She deserved to know the truth. But he looked at her, trusting and warm beside him, and he couldn't do it. Not because he was embarrassed. Not because he was a coward, but because it wasn't true anymore. Whatever had started this didn't matter. What mattered was what it had become. Vielle, he said. Yes? He stopped. He didn't know how to say what he was feeling. He wasn't good at this. He made jokes when he was nervous. He deflected when things got serious. That was who he was. But Vielle wasn't like that. Vielle said exactly what she meant, always. Maybe he could learn from her. I'm glad you're here, he said. I don't want you to leave. Vielle lifted her head and looked at him. Her face was close to his. I do not want to leave, she said. They lay there looking at each other in the darkness. Do-Hyun's heart was pounding. He wanted to say more. He wanted to do more. But he didn't know how. Vielle solved the problem for him. She put her head back on his shoulder and pressed closer. Her arm went across his chest. This is comfortable, she said. Is this acceptable? Do-Hyun put his arm around her. Yes, he said. This is acceptable. He held her while she fell asleep. Her breathing became slow and even. Her body relaxed against his. Do-Hyun stared at the ceiling. He thought about his life back on Earth, the expectations he had run from, the guilt he still carried. He thought about the 2 years he had spent alone on this station, telling jokes to fill the silence, pretending he didn't need anyone. He had been lying to himself. He needed this. He needed her. The joke that had started everything seemed very far away now. It didn't matter anymore. The only thing that mattered was the woman in his arms and the way she made him feel. Do-Hyun closed his eyes. For the first time in a long time, he felt like he was exactly where he was supposed to be. Do-Hyun was working in the lower decks when the announcement came through the station's communication system. A diplomatic vessel from the Kervani homeworld had docked. An ambassador and her staff would be staying for 3 days. He didn't think much about it. Diplomatic visits happened often on Horizon's Edge. He went back to work. But when he returned to his quarters that evening, Vielle was not there. She had left a message on his datapad. I will return late. A representative from my homeworld wishes to speak with me. Do-Hyun waited. He tried to read, but he couldn't focus. He made tea, but it didn't taste right without Vielle there to share it. He looked out the window at the stars and wondered what was happening. Vielle came back 2 hours later. Her face was different. The soft expression he had grown used to seeing was gone. She looked the way she had when they first met. Calm, distant, closed. Is everything okay? Do-Hyun asked. Yes, I am fine. She wasn't fine. He could see that. But she didn't offer more, and he didn't want to push. They went to bed. For the first time in weeks, Vielle stayed on her side. She didn't move closer. She didn't touch him. Do-Hyun stared at the darkness and wondered what had changed. The next morning, Vielle left early. She said she had meetings. Do-Hyun went to work and tried to concentrate, but his mind kept going back to her face the night before. Something was wrong. He needed to find out what. He found Yunji in the medical bay during lunch. "The Kirvani ambassador," he said. "Do you know anything about her?" Yunji looked up from her computer. "Her name is Rylith. She's high-ranking in their government. She handles relations with other species." She paused. "She's also Vile's former mentor." Do-Yun's stomach tightened. "Her mentor?" "Yes. Rylith trained Vile before she was assigned here. They're close, apparently." That explained why Vile had seemed upset. A visit from her mentor was probably stressful. Maybe that was all it was. But something told Do-Yun it was more than that. He went back to work. He finished his shift. Then he went to find Vile. He found her in the observation lounge. She was standing at the window, looking out at the stars, and she was not alone. Another Kirvani stood beside her. This one was older, with gray streaks in her silver hair and deep lines around her dark eyes. She carried herself with authority, like someone used to being obeyed. "Do-Yun," Vile said when she saw him. "This is Rylith. She was my teacher." "I have heard about you," Rylith said. Her voice was cold. "You are the human who offered my student your sleeping space." "Yes," Do-Yun said carefully. "I am." "I find this surprising. You had never met Vile before that night. You knew nothing about her. Yet you offered her something that among our people implies deep trust and long-term commitment." Do-Yun felt trapped. He couldn't explain the truth without embarrassing Vile. He couldn't lie without making things worse. "I thought she needed help," he said. "It seemed like the right thing to do." "Human generosity." Rylith's tone made it sound like an insult. "Your species is known for this. You give without thinking. You make offers without understanding what they mean." "Rylith," Vile said quietly. "I am simply asking questions." Rylith looked at Do-Hyun with sharp eyes. "You have been living with Vile for many weeks now. Among Kirvani, an arrangement like this implies partnership, a commitment to share life and home. Do you understand this?" Do-Yun nodded slowly. He was starting to understand it very well. "Then I must ask you directly." Rylith's voice was hard. "Do you intend to honor the commitment your offer implied? Or was it simply a momentary kindness, something you will discard when it becomes inconvenient?" Do-Hyun felt the weight of the question. This was the moment. He could tell the truth. He could explain that it started as a joke, that he never meant any of it, that everything had been an accident. But if he said that, what would happen to Vile? She had accepted his offer in good faith. She had trusted him. She had opened up to him, let him see her loneliness and her hope. If he told the truth now, in front of her mentor, he would humiliate her. He opened his mouth to speak. Do-Hyun." He turned. Vile was looking at him. Her face was still closed, but her eyes were different. There was something in them he hadn't seen before. Something fragile. She had heard Rylith's question. She was waiting for his answer, and suddenly Do-Hyun saw what was happening. Vile wasn't upset because her mentor had arrived. She was upset because she was afraid of what he might say. She was afraid he would tell the truth. She thought he was going to reject her. The realization hit him like a blow. Vile had never been sure. All these weeks she had been waiting for him to push her away. She thought this was temporary. She thought he would eventually tell her to leave. "I need to think about this," Do-Hyun said. His voice sounded strange to his own ears. "This is an important question." "It is," Rylith agreed. "And it deserves an honest answer." Do-Hyun looked at Vile. She wasn't looking at him anymore. Her face was turned toward the window. "I should go," he said. He left the observation lounge. He walked through the corridors without seeing them. His mind was spinning. When he got back to his quarters, Vile was already there. She must have left right after him. She was standing by the desk, and she had a bag in her hand. "What are you doing?" Do-Hyun asked. I am going to request temporary quarters. Her voice was flat. I have caused you difficulty. I should not have accepted your offer without understanding what it meant to humans. I should not have assumed. Vial, you hesitated. She finally looked at him, and there was pain in her dark eyes. When Rylith asked if you would honor your commitment, you hesitated. That tells me what I need to know. That's not... I will find somewhere else to sleep. I will explain to Rylith that I made an error in judgment. She will understand. She always said I was too trusting with other species. Vial picked up her bag and moved toward the door. Thank you for your hospitality, Do-hyun. I am sorry for the misunderstanding. She was leaving. She was actually leaving, and she was taking all the warmth and light with her. Do-hyun stood in the middle of his empty quarters. He looked at the bed they had shared, the cups they had drunk tea from, the space on the floor where her things had been. The room felt cold already. That night, he lay in bed alone. He stretched out across the whole mattress, but he stayed on his side out of habit. The other side was empty. The sheets were cool where Vale's body should have been. He closed his eyes and saw her face in the observation lounge. The pain in her eyes, the way she had looked away from him. He had done that. He had hurt her. And the worst part was that he hadn't even told her the truth. He had hurt her, and she still didn't know why. Do-hyun stared at the ceiling. He thought about the joke he had made 3 weeks ago, the stupid, careless joke that had started everything. He had been tired and embarrassed and too cowardly to correct himself. But that wasn't the problem anymore. The problem was that he had let Vial believe it meant something. He had let her hope. And now he had taken that hope away. He had to fix this. He didn't know how, but he had to try. She was in her office in the medical bay, working on reports. When she saw his face, she stopped. What happened? Do-hyun sat down across from her. He told her everything. The conversation with Rylith, the question about commitment, his hesitation, Vial leaving. When he finished, Yoonji was quiet. You need to tell her the truth, she said. I know. All of it. About the joke. About everything. I know. Do-hyun put his head in his hands. But if I tell her it started as a joke, she'll think the whole thing was fake. She'll think none of it was real. Was it real? He looked up at her. Yes, it was real. It is real. I love her, Yoonji. I didn't mean to, but I do. The words surprised him as he said them, but once they were out, he knew they were true. He loved Vial. He loved her seriousness and her curiosity and her terrible jokes. He loved the way she moved closer to him in her sleep. He loved the way she looked at him like he was worth understanding. Then you need to tell her that too, Yoonji said. Tell her how it started, and tell her what it became. What if she doesn't forgive me? Then at least you were honest. For once in your life, you didn't hide behind a joke. Do-hyun nodded slowly. She was right. He had spent his whole life deflecting, making jokes when things got serious, avoiding the truth when it was hard. He couldn't do that anymore, not with Vale. He stood up. Where would she be staying? The temporary quarters are on deck 7, but Do-hyun, Yoonji caught his arm. Don't mess this up. I'll try. He went to deck 7. He found the temporary quarters and knocked on the door. No answer. He knocked again. Still nothing. A passing crew member told him she had seen Vial heading toward the shuttle bay an hour ago. Do-hyun's stomach dropped. The shuttle bay was where the Kirvani diplomatic ship was docked. Was Vial leaving? Was she going back to her homeworld? He ran. He found her in the shuttle bay, standing outside the airlock that led to the Kirvani vessel. She was talking to Rylith. She had her bag at her feet. Vial! He called. Both Kirvani turned to look at him. Rylith's expression was cold. Vial's expression was careful, guarded. Do-hyun, Viel said. "You should not be here. I need to talk to you. There is nothing to discuss. I am returning to Kirvani space. Rylith has arranged a position for me at a research station there." "You're leaving? It is better this way. I made assumptions that were not correct. I should go home where I understand the culture." "Viel, please, let me explain." Rylith stepped forward. "I think you have done enough. You took advantage of my student's trust. You let her believe something that was not true." "I know, and I'm sorry, but I need to tell her why." "Why? So you can make more excuses? More human jokes?" "No." Do-hyun took a breath. "So I can finally tell the truth." He looked at Viel. She was watching him with those large, dark eyes. She wasn't moving toward the ship. She was waiting. "That first night," he said, "when you were standing outside my door, I made a joke. When I said you could share my bed, I didn't mean it. I was tired and embarrassed, and I didn't know what else to say. I thought you would understand it wasn't serious. I thought you would say no." Viel's face didn't change. "I see. But you didn't say no. You accepted. And I was too much of a coward to tell you the truth. I let you believe it meant something because I was too embarrassed to admit I had made a mistake." There was silence in the shuttle bay. Rylith looked like she wanted to speak, but she didn't. "I'm sorry," Do-hyun said. "I should have told you the truth that first night. I should have been honest. Instead, I let you trust me when I didn't deserve it." Viel's voice was quiet. "Is that all you came to say?" "No." Do-hyun stepped closer. "There's more." He looked at her, and he thought about all the nights they had spent talking in the dark, all the mornings drinking tea together, all the times she had moved closer to him, seeking warmth, and he had let her. "It started as a joke," he said, "but it stopped being a joke a long time ago." Viel's expression flickered, just slightly. "Every night we spent together was real. Every conversation was real. The way I feel about you is real." He took a breath. "I love you, Viel. I didn't mean to fall in love with you. It just happened. And I understand if you don't forgive me for lying. But I couldn't let you leave without knowing the truth." The shuttle bay was very quiet. Do-hyun could hear his own heartbeat. Rylith spoke first. "This is what you came to say? That you lied to her, but now you love her?" "Yes." "And you expect her to believe you?" "I don't expect anything. I just want her to know." Rylith looked at Viel. "What do you think?" Viel was quiet for a long moment. Her eyes never left Do-hyun's face. "When we first met," she said slowly, "I thought you were strange. You said things you did not mean. You laughed when nothing was funny. I did not understand you." Do-hyun nodded. "But then I began to understand. You make jokes because you are nervous. You laugh because you are uncomfortable. You hide your real feelings because you are afraid of being hurt." She stepped closer to him. "And yet you came here today to tell me the truth, even though it might make me leave, even though it might cost you everything." She paused. "That is not the action of a coward. I should have done it sooner. Yes, you should have. But you did it now. That matters." Do-hyun felt hope rising in his chest. "Does this mean you'll stay?" Viel looked at him for a long moment. "I need to think," she said. It wasn't yes, but it wasn't no either. Do-hyun nodded. "Okay. Take whatever time you need." He turned to leave. He had said what he came to say. The rest was up to her. "Do-hyun," he stopped. "Thank you," Viel said, "for telling me the truth. You deserved it a long time ago." He left the shuttle bay. He walked back to his empty quarters and sat down on his bed. He had done everything he could. He had been honest, finally, completely honest. Now all he could do was wait. Hours passed. Do-hyun couldn't eat. He couldn't work. He couldn't do anything except sit and think about Vael standing in that shuttle bay, deciding whether to leave or stay. He thought about all the things he should have done differently. He should have told her the truth the first night. He should have explained human humor better. He should have been braver, sooner. But he couldn't change the past. He could only hope the future wasn't gone. It was late evening when his door chimed. Do-Yun stood up slowly. He walked to the door. He pressed the control to open it. Vael stood in the corridor. She was carrying her bag. Do-Hyun looked at the bag. His heart was beating hard. "Are you leaving?" he asked. "That depends on you," Vael said. "On me?" "I have thought about what you said. I have thought about the truth and the lie and everything in between." She paused. "And I have decided that I am willing to stay. But only if you ask me properly." Do-Hyun stared at her. "Ask you properly?" "The first time you made a joke. This time I want you to mean it. Every word." He understood. This was her test. This was how she would know if he was serious. Do-Hyun took a breath. He thought about all the jokes he could make, all the ways he could deflect, all the ways he could protect himself from the risk of being vulnerable. He pushed them all away. "Vael," he said, "will you stay with me? Will you share my quarters and my life? I'm not joking. I mean every word." Vael studied his face, looking for the truth, looking for the lie. Then she smiled. A real smile, small and soft and nothing like the ones she had practiced in the mirror. "Yes," she said. "I will stay." Vael walked into the quarters and set her bag down in its usual spot. She looked around the small room like she was seeing it for the first time. "It feels different," she said. "Different how?" "Before, I was always waiting for this to end. Now I know it will not." She turned to face him. "That is better." Do-Hyun nodded. He felt it too. Something had shifted. The uncertainty was gone. Whatever this was between them. It was real now. Official. They both knew it. "We should talk to Rylith," he said. "She probably thinks I'm terrible." "She does not think that. She is cautious because she cares about me. But she knows humans are different from Kirvani. She will understand." "Will she?" Vael tilted her head. "Perhaps I should speak to her first. I can explain things better." That night, Vael met with her mentor while Do-Hyun waited in their quarters. He tried to read, but he couldn't concentrate. He kept thinking about what Rylith might say. If she disapproved, would Vael change her mind? An hour later, Vael came back. Her expression was calm. "What did she say?" Do-Hyun asked immediately. "She asked me why I chose to forgive you." "And what did you tell her?" Vael sat down beside him on the bed. "I told her that humans are strange. They hide their feelings behind jokes and deflection. They say things they do not mean because they are afraid of being vulnerable. It is confusing and frustrating and sometimes hurtful." Do-Hyun felt his heart sink. "That's what you told her?" I was not finished. Vael looked at him. "I also told her that when a human finally chooses to be honest, it means more than words from someone who is always literal. Because it is harder for them. It costs them more." She paused. "You told me the truth even though it might have made me leave. That took courage. That is why I forgave you." Do-Hyun didn't know what to say. He reached out and took her hand. Her skin was cool against his, but it warmed quickly. "What did Rylith say to that?" "She said humans are more complicated than she realized. And she said that if I have found someone who makes me happy, she will not interfere. So she approves. She does not disapprove. For Rylith, that is the same thing." Do-Hyun laughed. Vael looked at him curiously. "Why is that funny?" "I don't know, it just is." Vael nodded slowly, like she was filing this information away for later study. He loved that about her. The Kirvani diplomatic ship left 2 days later. Rylith came to say goodbye to Vael in person. Do-hyun was there too. "Take care of my student," Rylith said to him. Her voice was still formal, but her eyes were softer than before. "She is important to many people." "I will," Do-hyun said. Rylith nodded once. Then she looked at Vael. Something passed between them that Do-hyun didn't quite understand. Some Kirvani communication that didn't need words. Then Rylith was gone, and Do-hyun and Vael were alone again. Life on the station went back to normal. Do-hyun worked on the environmental systems. Vael conducted her xenobiology research. They ate meals together and drank tea in the evenings and slept in the same bed every night. But some things were different. Do-hyun stopped making jokes when he was nervous. He practiced saying what he actually felt, even when it was hard. It didn't come naturally to him, but Vael was patient. She always listened. She never made him feel stupid for struggling. Vael kept trying to understand human humor. She watched more comedy shows with Do-hyun and asked questions about why things were funny. Her jokes were still terrible, but she was getting better at knowing when something was a joke and when it wasn't. One evening, they were sitting in the observation lounge together. The stars were bright outside the windows. It was quiet and peaceful. Yoonji walked in and saw them. She smiled. "You two look comfortable," she said. "We are," Do-hyun said. Yoonji sat down across from them. "So, I have to know. How did this even happen? How did you go from awkward roommates to—" She gestured at them. "This?" Do-hyun and Vael looked at each other. "I made a joke," Do-hyun said. "And I took it seriously," Vael added. Yoonji laughed. "That's it? That's the whole story?" "That's how it started," Do-hyun said. "The rest just happened." "The rest did not just happen," Vael corrected. "The rest happened because we chose it. We chose to trust each other. We chose to be honest. We chose to stay." Do-hyun looked at her. She was right. It wasn't an accident. They had built this together, day by day, conversation by conversation. It had started with a joke, but it had become something real because they had made it real. "Fair enough," Yoonji said. "Well, I'm happy for you both, even if your story is ridiculous." "Thank you," Vael said seriously. "I am also happy for us." After Yoonji left, Do-hyun and Vael stayed in the observation lounge. They watched the stars together. Vael's hand was in his. "Can I ask you something?" Do-hyun said. "Yes." "Do you ever regret accepting my offer that first night, even though it was a joke?" Vael thought about this. "No. If you had not made that joke, we would not have lived together. We would not have talked every night. I would not have learned about you. I would not have fallen in love with you." "You love me?" She looked at him. "Yes." "I thought that was obvious." Do-hyun smiled. "Maybe I just needed to hear you say it." "Then I will say it again. I love you, Do-hyun. You are strange and confusing, and sometimes you hide behind jokes. But you are also kind and honest when it matters. You make me feel like I belong." He leaned over and kissed her. Her lips were cool at first, then warm. When he pulled back, she was smiling. A real smile, not the practiced ones. "I love you too," he said. They sat together in the quiet of the observation lounge. Outside the window, the stars turned slowly as the station rotated. Somewhere out there, ships were flying between worlds and species were meeting each other for the first time. The galaxy was vast and complicated and full of misunderstandings. But here, in this small corner of space, two people had found each other. A human who made jokes when he was scared, and a Kirvani who took everything literally. They shouldn't have worked together, but they did. "Vael," Do-hyun said. "Yes? I'm glad you needed a place to sleep that night." "I am also glad." She rested her head on his shoulder. "Though I should tell you something." "What?" "The housing office contacted me last week. They said my original quarters are available now." Do-hyun's heart jumped. They are? Yes. I told them I no longer needed them. He laughed. He couldn't help it. The relief and the joy were too big to hold inside. You're staying, he said. Of course I am staying. Where else would I go? He put his arm around her and held her close. Outside the window, the stars kept turning. The universe kept spinning. And Do-hyun thought about how one small joke had changed his entire life. He had said something he didn't mean, and it had led him to something real, something true, something he wouldn't trade for anything. Thank you, he said quietly. For what? For taking me seriously. Vielle looked up at him. Her dark eyes were warm. Always, she said. They sat together and watched the stars. They didn't need to say anything else. They had all the time in the world, and they would spend it together. That was enough. That was everything.